Well, good morning, everybody. Our first animation today is the last several hours here through early this morning on Wednesday. This is a radar animation, and I got it color-coded for precipitation type as well. Your eyes probably drawn to a few big features like the deep low that is over the western part of the United States. This one put down quite a bit of snow in the Sierra Nevada and also spawned some thunderstorms throughout the Central Valley. We even had a tornado report right here in this part of California. But out ahead of it, we've seen quite a bit of snow that's pushed through, for example, the Snake River Valley in toward like Yellowstone and eventually here into parts of Montana. And then there is a lingering frontal boundary that stretches from the eastern Ontario to the Great Lakes right back into this area. And I'm in Fargo today, and I'm trying to beat all of this home. I love being in Fargo. It's a great city. It's grown tremendously over the last decade. But I want to beat this snowstorm and get back to Champaign where I live here. You can also see the outer rain bands of Nicole down here. So we got quite a bit to talk about today. Recent rainfall map first. This is just the last 72 hours of total accumulated precipitation. So as anticipated, that low delivered a lot of rainfall into parts of California, including several inches of snow. We'll take a look at that in a second, into the Sierra Nevada. Outside of that, a lot of isolated thunderstorm activity in the southeast, and then some of the rain we just talked about right here through parts of the upper Midwest. But that snowfall map looks something like this. Now, this is through last night. We get an update of this in a few hours through this morning. But just to show you total snowfall amounts here, easily topping 2 feet, and we expect more still in this area to come into the Sierra Nevada. Also, the snow that moved across parts of Montana, quite deep in places, as you can see here. In fact, some of the snow kind of had some flight cancellations, which is why I missed a trip to Glasgow. But the big picture is where this is going, so take a look. Now, this is classic jet stream setup. So the trough is right now trying to eject over the Rocky Mountains, but there is right here, see this? This is called a jet streak. And whenever you have a trough, which has its main axis here, and a downstream ridge, which is there, right in the middle, right in this area is where you have your best upper level support for divergence, and that basically produces a big low pressure system. And we're going to watch that emerge later on today. In fact, let's go down here and have a quick look at it down to the surface, and that's where that low is going to be. So you can see the front out ahead of it. That's where we'll watch this low track along. Strong southerly winds should support some severe weather tomorrow on Thursday here. But as you can also see, we're keeping an eye on Nicole. In fact, let's take a quick look at Nicole before we come back to this winter storm. The 4 a.m. update from the National Hurricane Center does have Nicole strengthening to a hurricane as it passes over the Barrier Islands here in the northern Bahamas, and then eventually comes towards the east coast of Florida, where they have issued hurricane warnings. The models right now have downgraded this back down to tropical storm strength as it makes landfall, but it will swing a bit farther to the west, as we've been discussing, before making its way, through parts of the southeast into, here eventually pulling into the northeast. So we have to watch this quite carefully. This first map shows total or maximum accumulated wind gusts from the European model. So it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to give us an idea. There's going to be widespread 50 to 70 mile an hour winds along the coast, but through the interior here, we're expecting a lot of 30 to 60 mile an hour wind gusts, probably in the 30 to 40 mile an hour range as you come from parts of Alabama through the Carolinas with this system. On the rainfall side of this is the latest from the WPC, and I've been really focusing in on the WPC's forecast for rainfall. I think they're doing the best job capturing it here. So we could have 4 to 5 inches of rainfall possible in pockets down in Florida, but a widespread 2 to 3 inch rainfall event higher in the Appalachian Mountains overall. What's important about this forecast trend is earlier in the week, the heaviest rains were expected to be east in parts of North Carolina here, but they've shifted west throughout the week as we've seen a better evolution of this system getting pushed farther to the west by a big dome of high pressure that sits out here ahead of it. Now, from here, let's come and look at the severe weather threat. So we do see Storm Prediction Center's got severe thunderstorm, a slight risk for them down here today. As we get into tomorrow, this will be associated with the front slicing to the south along the big winter storm that's heading toward Ontario. But you can see down here in parts of Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina the risk for severe storms. And that moves into North Carolina and Virginia as we get into the day on Friday. Okay, all hazards weather map, just to get an idea here. Let's start back with Nicole. Tropical storm warnings out for most of Florida, hurricane warnings along the coast. It's going to be quite windy, too. You can see the wind advisories that are out for parts of South Carolina. Got fog here in parts of the Appalachian Mountains and also down here, fog down here in the Red River Valley, but we're watching for some strong winds, including a red flag warning here in parts of the Appalachian Mountains. Now, all of the action you see in the west, these are all wind advisories, red flag warnings. This color in through here is winter storm warning. And this morning, the National Hurricane Center updated this whole region right in through here into a blizzard warning. And we've got winter storm watches and winter weather advisories around it, but let's go take a look at where this system's going to go. I'm going to start off with the high-res NAM model. Now, out ahead of this, remember, there's still lingering showers, but there is the risk for some ice. And I was looking at some radar data this morning suggesting there was some ice accumulating here in parts of northern South Dakota, getting into southern North Dakota. And what I'm concerned about is throughout the morning, that ice could be spreading right over to where I have to fly out of at noon today. So just my own personal concern. But this is the deeper low. This is all out ahead of the bigger system that pulled out of California and is moving through Wyoming. So what we're going to watch is for some lee cyclogenesis right here. There it is. This is overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. So as Nicole makes landfall, we're going to be watching for lee cyclogenesis. That's the development of a low in parts of Nebraska. And you can see that this low pulls through, delivering its snow to North Dakota. This is the very narrow band of storms that'll be out ahead of it, coming through on the day on Thursday. So this is a very brief risk for severe storms as this pulls through. And that system curls in through parts of Minnesota. Very strong winds on the backside, hence the blizzard warnings that have been issued. And then that pulls into parts of Ontario. So this will be the front that is now much farther back west than initially anticipated, that is allowing Nicole to make it, possibly here into parts of Georgia and Alabama. But that front will eventually push Nicole's remnants out farther to the east and up to the northeast, and that's why we've now seen the heaviest rains extending into parts of eastern Kentucky and Tennessee and getting up into Ohio and eventually in the eastern Great Lakes, in addition to what we're expecting to fall here in Virginia, North and South Carolina. Okay, that's the high-res NAM. Let's let the European model take over from there. So we'll play through that same time period. This is now Wednesday night, getting into Thursday morning, afternoon, and evening. Here we go, picking up with Friday morning. All right, so watch the heavy rain from Nicole spread through New England as the cold air comes on the backside of this, producing a lot of snow showers and some lake effect snow coming off the Great Lakes. Now, this is where there's a pretty substantial trough that dives into the midsection of the country. There's going to be a few short waves that kind of go around it, so there could be multiple rounds of snow showers kind of in this whole area that I'm circling here. And that's what we expect to see going in through the weekend into Monday. There is a cutoff low that's going to come down into the southern plains and eject next Monday night, and it could produce some strong to severe storms in Texas, Louisiana, maybe some snow on the backside. And that low heads toward the mid-Atlantic by next Tuesday. But again, you see behind this quite a bit of snow, and that's because the overall pattern is favoring a large ridge that comes up like this and the deeper trough that dives down in that direction. So little short waves like to curl around this, and that's what delivers these brief shots at some of the snow showers. Okay, but let's talk about the bigger picture snow. We're going to go first to the west. So remember, this low today is still spinning here. So we still have more snow adding up in the Sierra Nevada. It's going to push through the central Rockies and kind of come out here right into parts of, this side of the Snake River Valley, Wyoming, getting into Montana. So that's your western U.S. Snowfall forecast from the European model. As we hone in on what we expect in the northern plains, this is this morning's 0Z ECMWF run. And what's interesting is the ensemble is very similar. So I just want to make a point that if you're in this region, there is the chance for 6 to 12 inches of snow. Now, does everybody get that? No, but remember, there'll be strong winds behind this. And as a result, we do expect to see blizzard conditions and near whiteout conditions at times. From there, let's just get the bigger picture on total rainfall so you can also see who's not getting moisture out of this. There's a drier area from the mid-south getting up toward Michigan that hits parts of the eastern Corn Belt. We're drier back in the western plains as well. So let's just keep an eye out on who's missing out on this rainfall so we can get a better picture of the drought scenario post these two big events. From there, as we talked about, we have this cross-polar ridge feature setting up. And that's allowing for the flow to really dive into a deeper trough here, coming across much of the eastern two-thirds of the United States. That is a drier and a much colder pattern. I'm going to show you what these temperatures are going to do. So here's today's high temperatures. And as we get into tomorrow and Thursday, we're going to replace all that heat that's in the upper Midwest very quickly by Friday into Saturday and Sunday as the cold air finally advances toward the east. And it's just going to stay there as we even look out much farther than that. In fact, just take a look at the day 5 through 10 versus the day 10 through 15 temperature pattern. As long as that ridge is still in place over Alaska to the Scandinavian countries, we're going to see this. I don't think it's going to last much beyond the next 2 weeks, though. I was just looking this morning at what that day 14 through 21 outlook entails, and as we talked about in the in-depth video on Monday, the MJO phase 6 takes back over, the jet stream returns back to its position where it delivers more moisture to the west, and this just kicks off multiple systems that roll through the midsection of the country. So that's what we're looking out there for week 3. We talked about that a lot in today's report. And the last bit of today's report is about South America. We are anticipating better precipitation coming into Argentina, southern Brazil, and Paraguay. But as noted, that will likely just last for about 5 to 6 days, and then we're going to replace that again with some drier air as we move toward kind of the third week of November. There seems to be pretty consistent behavior here in the models with predicting that. So we'll keep watching all of it. I'll talk to you again on Thursday morning. Thanks.